The wrestling world just got flipped upside down, and Jacob Fatu is furious. After months of silence, the Samoan werewolf has finally spoken out about the most shocking betrayal in WWE history, and what he revealed will make your blood boil. Roman Reigns' emotional message to his cousins has been leaked, and the truth about what really happened backstage is more devastating than anyone could have imagined. But before we dive into this explosive revelation, you need to understand something. What you're about to hear has been kept secret by WWE's top brass for weeks. Sources close to the situation are risking everything to get this information out, and the implications could destroy the very foundation of the bloodline forever. Jacob Fatu sat down for an exclusive interview just 48 hours after the Usos shocked the world by turning on Roman Reigns, and his words are nothing short of nuclear. The man who was brought in to be the enforcer, the muscle, the one who was supposed to keep the family together, is now revealing that everything we thought we knew about the bloodline was a lie. People think they know what happened out there, Fatu said, his voice trembling with rage. They think Jimmy and G just decided to turn on Roman because they got tired of being in his shadow. But the truth is so much worse than that. The truth is that Roman himself orchestrated his own downfall, and he used all of us, including me, as pawns in his sick game. These are explosive accusations that strike at the very heart of everything we believed about the tribal chief. According to Fatu, Roman Reigns has been manipulating his own family for years, playing mind games that would make even the most ruthless corporate executive blush. And the Usos' betrayal? It wasn't spontaneous, it was the inevitable result of months of psychological warfare. But here's where it gets really twisted. Jacob Fatu claims that Roman actually wanted the Usos to turn on him, that this entire storyline was Roman's way of testing who in the family would remain loyal when everything fell apart. And the most shocking part? Fatu believes he failed that test. Roman came to me 3 weeks before it happened, Fatu revealed, his hands clenched into fists. He told me that changes were coming, that the family was going to be tested, and that I needed to be ready to choose sides. I thought he was talking about outside threats. I never imagined he was talking about tearing us apart from the inside. The emotional toll this has taken on Jacob Fatu is evident. This is a man who left his entire life behind to join WWE, who relocated his family, who put his body on the line night after night for the bloodline. And now he's discovering that the very foundation of everything he believed in was built on lies and manipulation. Roman's emotional message, which was sent to both Jimmy and G just hours after their betrayal, has been obtained by sources within WWE, and its contents are absolutely heartbreaking. In a voice note that lasts over 8 minutes, Roman breaks down completely, revealing vulnerabilities that he's never shown publicly. "I know you hate me right now," Roman's message begins, his voice cracking with emotion. "I know you think I've been using you, controlling you, treating you like you're beneath me. And maybe I have been. Maybe I became everything I swore I'd never become when I took on this role as tribal chief. But it's what comes next that will absolutely shock you." Roman admits to manipulating not just the Usos, but every member of the bloodline, including Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and yes, even Jacob Fatu. "I brought Jacob in not because I needed muscle, but because I was afraid," Roman continues in the leaked message. "I was afraid that you guys were going to leave me anyway, so I brought in someone who I thought would be completely loyal, someone who would never question my authority. But in doing that, I pushed you away even more. I made you feel replaceable." Jacob Fatu's reaction to hearing this message was explosive. "Replaceable," he shouted during the interview. "I gave up everything for this family. I left my children, my wife, everything I knew, because Roman convinced me that blood was thicker than everything else. And now I find out that I was just a chess piece in his game to control Jimmy and G?" The deeper we dig into this story, the more disturbing it becomes. Multiple sources within WWE are now coming forward with stories about Roman's behavior behind the scenes, behavior that paints a picture of a man who became so consumed with maintaining power that he lost sight of what family actually means. One particularly damning account comes from a backstage worker who witnessed a heated argument between Roman and Jacob Fatu just days before the Usos' betrayal. According to this source, Roman told Fatu that his job was to make Jimmy and G understand their place in the hierarchy and that if they continued to show signs of rebellion, Fatu would need to handle them physically. Jacob looked horrified, the source revealed. He kept saying these are our cousins, our family, and Roman just stared at him with this cold look and said, "Family follows orders, or they're not family anymore." This revelation explains so much about Jacob Fatu's current emotional state. The man who was brought in as the ultimate enforcer is now grappling with the realization that he was being asked to potentially hurt his own family members to maintain Roman's grip on power. But perhaps the most shocking revelation in Roman's emotional message is his admission about Paul Heyman's role in all of this. According to the leaked audio, Roman reveals that Heyman was the architect behind much of the psychological manipulation within the bloodline. "Paul convinced me that the only way to keep the family together was through fear and control," Roman admits in the message. "He showed me videos of successful families in history, mafia families, royal families, and how they maintained power through intimidation and making everyone dependent on the patriarch. I listened to him because I thought he knew better than me." Jacob Fatu's response to this revelation was explosive. Paul Heyman destroyed our family, he stated bluntly. Roman might have been the face of it, but Heyman was the poison whispering in his ear, turning him into something he was never meant to be. And now we're all paying the price for Roman's weakness in listening to that manipulator. The leaked message continues with Roman breaking down completely, admitting that he realizes he's lost everything that actually mattered to him. I thought being tribal chief meant being in control of everything and everyone, he sobs in the audio. But I controlled us right into destruction. I controlled us until there was nothing left to control. But here's where the story takes an even more twisted turn. Jacob Fatu reveals that Roman's emotional breakdown might not be genuine. According to Fatu, Roman has been known to manipulate people through fake vulnerability before, and this emotional message might be just another attempt at psychological manipulation. I've seen Roman cry before, Fatu said with disgust. I've seen him break down and apologize and promise to change. And then 2 days later, he's back to his controlling, manipulative self. So when I hear this message, I have to wonder, is this real Roman finally showing himself? Or is this just another performance designed to get Jimmy and G to feel sorry for him? This skepticism from Jacob Fatu reveals just how deeply the trust within the bloodline has been shattered. When your own enforcer, the man brought in specifically to support you, questions whether your emotional breakdown is real, you know the situation has deteriorated beyond repair. The timing of all these revelations is particularly significant. WWE sources indicate that there are major plans in motion for the bloodline storyline, plans that could see massive changes in the coming weeks. And Jacob Fatu's decision to speak out now suggests that he's preparing for his own potential departure from the faction. I didn't come to WWE to be part of some toxic family dynamic, Fatu explained. I came here to honor our heritage, to represent our culture with pride and respect. But what we became under Roman's leadership was the opposite of everything our family should represent. The cultural aspect of this controversy cannot be understated. The Samoan wrestling dynasty has always been built on principles of respect, honor, and genuine family bonds. What Jacob Fatu is describing represents a fundamental perversion of those values, a transformation of sacred family traditions into tools of manipulation and control. Our ancestors would be ashamed, Fatu continued, his voice heavy with emotion. The Anoa'i family name used to mean something in this business. It meant integrity, respect, loyalty earned through love, not fear. Roman turned it into something ugly, something that would make our grandfathers roll over in their graves. Perhaps most revealing is Jacob Fatu's description of the moment he realized he had to distance himself from Roman's version of the bloodline. It happened during a backstage segment that never made it to television, where Roman allegedly berated Jimmy Uso for showing too much personality during a promo. Roman told Jimmy that his job was to make Roman look good, not to get himself over with the crowd, Fatu recalled. Jimmy tried to explain that he was just trying to connect with the audience, and Roman's response was to threaten to have me physically remove Jimmy from the segment. That's when I knew this had gone too far. The leaked emotional message from Roman becomes even more disturbing when viewed through this lens. In the audio, Roman admits to feeling threatened by his cousin's natural charisma and connection with the WWE Universe. I was jealous, Roman confesses in the message. I was jealous that the crowd loved you guys naturally, while I had to work so hard just to get them to respect me. So instead of celebrating your talents, I tried to suppress them. I tried to make sure that everything you did served my agenda instead of letting you shine on your own. This admission cuts to the heart of what many fans have long suspected, that Roman's control over the bloodline was rooted in his own insecurities rather than genuine leadership ability. Jacob Fatu's reaction to this part of the message was particularly intense. That's the most honest thing Roman has ever said, Fatu acknowledged grudgingly. But it doesn't excuse what he did to Jimmy and G. It doesn't excuse how he used me. Recognizing your flaws doesn't automatically forgive the damage you've caused. The ripple effects of these revelations extend far beyond just the immediate bloodline members. Multiple WWE superstars are reportedly reconsidering their relationships with Roman Reigns, wondering if they too have been manipulated or used for his benefit. One particularly explosive allegation from Jacob Fatu involves Roman's relationship with Solo Sikoa, who many fans have viewed as Roman's most loyal supporter. According to Fatu, Roman has been systematically undermining Solo's confidence and independence, ensuring that Solo remains completely dependent on Roman's approval. Roman would praise Solo in public but tear him down in private, Fatu revealed. He would tell Solo that without Roman's protection, WWE would never take him seriously, that his only value was as Roman's enforcer. It was disgusting to watch a grown man systematically destroy his own cousin's self-esteem. These allegations paint a picture of psychological abuse that goes far beyond typical wrestling storyline manipulation. If true, they suggest that Roman Reigns created a toxic environment that damaged real relationships and caused genuine emotional harm to his family members. The most heartbreaking part of Roman's leaked message comes toward the end, where he acknowledges the real-world impact of his behavior on his family relationships outside of WWE. I know G's kids ask why Uncle Roman doesn't come to family barbecues anymore. Roman's voice breaks in the audio. I know Jimmy's wife thinks I'm a controlling monster who turned her husband into someone she doesn't recognize. And I know our grandmother is disappointed in what I've become, even though she's too polite to say it to my face. Jacob Fatu's response to this portion of the message was perhaps his most emotional moment during the interview. "That's what makes this so tragic," he said, wiping away tears. "This isn't just about WWE storylines or wrestling characters. Roman's behavior destroyed real family relationships. Kids who used to look up to their uncle now see him as the bad guy who hurt their daddies. That's not something you can fix with an emotional voice message. The business implications of these revelations are staggering. The Bloodline has been WWE's most successful storyline in recent years, generating massive revenue and drawing significant television ratings. If the faction implodes due to real-world family drama, it could have major financial consequences for the company. WWE sources indicate that there are emergency creative meetings happening daily to figure out how to salvage the situation. Some proposals reportedly include completely separating the real-life family members into different storylines to avoid further personal conflicts bleeding into the product. But Jacob Fatu believes that any attempt to artificially maintain the bloodline would be doomed to failure. "You can't fake the kind of chemistry we had when we genuinely cared about each other," he explained. "Once that trust is broken, once family members start questioning each other's motives, you can't just pretend everything is okay for the cameras." Perhaps most telling is Jacob Fatu's description of his current relationship with each member of the bloodline. His words reveal just how completely Roman's behavior has fractured what was once a tight-knit unit. "I talk to Jimmy and G almost every day now," Fatu revealed. "We're trying to heal together, trying to remember who we were before all this toxicity took over. Solo is harder to reach because he's still under Roman's influence, but I think deep down he knows something is wrong." "And Roman? I haven't spoken to Roman since the night the Usos turned on him." The leaked emotional message suggests that Roman is desperately trying to rebuild these relationships, but his efforts may be too little, too late. In one particularly desperate moment of the audio, Roman pleads with his cousins to give him another chance. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," Roman's voice is barely above a whisper in the message. "I know I've proven that I can't be trusted with the responsibility of leading this family. But I'm begging you, don't let my failures destroy what we could still have together. Don't let my mistakes end something that's bigger than all of us." Jacob Fatu's reaction to this plea was complex, revealing the internal struggle he faces between his anger at Roman's behavior and his genuine love for his cousin. "Part of me wants to forgive him," Fatu admitted. "Part of me remembers the Roman I knew before WWE, before Paul Heyman, before all the power and control went to his head. But then I remember how he made Jimmy feel worthless, how he tried to turn me into his attack dog against my own family. And I realized that forgiveness isn't the same thing as trust." The cultural implications of this family breakdown extend beyond just the wrestling world. The Anoa'i family has long been viewed as a model of how to maintain strong family bonds while achieving professional success. The revelation that internal manipulation and control issues led to this public fracture sends a troubling message about the pressures that fame and success can place on family relationships. "We're supposed to be setting an example for young Samoan wrestlers, for kids who look up to us," Fatu reflected sadly. "Instead, we've shown them that even the strongest families can be destroyed by ego and the pursuit of power. That's a legacy none of us should be proud of." One of the most disturbing aspects of Jacob Fatu's revelations involves Roman's alleged attempts to control family members' relationships outside of WWE. According to Fatu, Roman actively discouraged family members from maintaining close relationships with wrestlers outside of the Bloodline faction. "Roman didn't want us getting too close to other wrestlers because he was afraid we might realize how abnormal our family dynamic had become," Fatu explained. "He would make comments about other wrestlers being outsiders who wouldn't understand our family bonds, but really he was just isolating us so we wouldn't have anyone to compare his behavior to." This isolation tactic is consistent with patterns of emotional abuse and manipulation, suggesting that Roman's control over the bloodline went far beyond typical wrestling storyline boundaries. The fact that Jacob Fatu is now recognizing these patterns indicates a level of psychological damage that may take years to fully heal. The leaked emotional message contains several moments where Roman seems to acknowledge his use of these tactics, though whether his admissions represent genuine insight or calculated manipulation remains unclear. "I know I tried to keep you guys away from other wrestlers," Roman admits in the audio. "I told myself it was to protect our family bond, but I think I was really just afraid that you'd realize there were better ways to be a family in this business. I was afraid you'd see what healthy professional relationships look like and realize how toxic ours had become." Jacob Fatu's interpretation of this admission is harsh but likely accurate. Even in his moment of supposed honesty, Roman is still trying to control the narrative, Fatu observed. He's trying to frame his manipulative behavior as coming from a place of love and protection, when really it came from selfishness and insecurity. The impact on the younger members of the extended Anoa'i family has been particularly heartbreaking, according to multiple sources. Several up-and-coming wrestlers from the family have reportedly distanced themselves from WWE opportunities because they don't want to become involved in the toxic dynamics that have destroyed the current generation's relationships. Roman's behavior hasn't just hurt Jimmy, G, Solo, and me, Fatu explained. It's hurt the entire next generation of our family. Kids who should be excited about following in our footsteps are now scared that success in WWE means sacrificing your soul and your family relationships. This generational impact represents perhaps the most lasting damage from the bloodline controversy. Wrestling dynasties depend on passing down values and opportunities from one generation to the next, but the current situation has created a cautionary tale rather than an inspiration. The business ramifications continue to unfold as well. Several major WWE sponsors have reportedly expressed concerns about the real-world family drama affecting their association with the bloodline characters. The line between storyline and reality has become so blurred that corporate partners are struggling to understand what they're actually endorsing. Jacob Fatu revealed that he's been approached by wrestlers from other promotions who are interested in working with him if he decides to leave WWE. People in the business can see what this situation has done to me emotionally and professionally, he explained. They're reaching out because they want to help me remember what it feels like to work in an environment where family actually means something positive. The leaked emotional message from Roman includes several moments where he acknowledges that his behavior may have permanently damaged not just personal relationships, but professional opportunities for everyone involved. I know I've made it harder for all of you to succeed in this business, Roman admits in one particularly raw moment of the audio. I know that people look at our family now and see drama and toxicity instead of talent and potential. That's on me. That's my fault, and I don't know how to fix it. Jacob Fatu's response to this acknowledgement was measured but firm. The first step in fixing something is stopping the behavior that broke it in the first place, he said. But Roman hasn't shown that he's capable of that kind of change. He keeps making the same mistakes over and over, just with slightly different apologies each time. Perhaps most revealing is Jacob Fatu's description of the person Roman becomes when cameras aren't rolling and Paul Heyman isn't around to influence him. According to Fatu, there are glimpses of the cousin he once knew and loved, but they're increasingly rare and brief. Sometimes, late at night after shows, when it's just family around, I see flashes of the old Roman, Fatu recalled wistfully. He'll laugh at something Jimmy says, or he'll ask about G's kids, and for a moment it feels like we're a real family again. But then the next day, it's back to the power games and the manipulation and the control. These glimpses of authenticity make the situation even more tragic, as they suggest that the person Roman could be still exists somewhere beneath the layers of WWE politics and manufactured drama. But Jacob Fatu's patience for waiting for that person to fully emerge has clearly run out. The leaked emotional message ends with Roman making specific promises about changing his behavior and leadership style, promises that Jacob Fatu views with deep skepticism based on past experience. Roman promises to change every time he gets caught doing something wrong, Fatu explained. He promised to change after he made Jimmy feel worthless. He promised to change after he tried to turn me against G. He promised to change after Solo started showing signs of depression from the constant criticism. But the changes never last more than a few weeks before he's back to his old patterns. This pattern of temporary reform followed by regression is consistent with many forms of manipulative behavior, and it explains why Jacob Fatu and others have lost faith in Roman's ability to genuinely transform. The wrestling world is now watching closely to see how this family drama will play out, both in storylines and in real life. Jacob Fatu's decision to speak out publicly represents a point of no return for the bloodline as it currently exists. I'm not trying to destroy Roman or ruin his career, Fatu clarified toward the end of his explosive interview. I'm trying to save what's left of our family relationships before his behavior destroys them completely. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable their destructive patterns. The courage it took for Jacob Fatu to make these revelations public cannot be understated. He's risking his WWE career, his relationship with Roman, and potentially his standing within the extended Anoa'i family to tell this truth. But according to Fatu, staying silent was no longer an option. I have children who look up to me, he explained. I couldn't continue participating in something that I know is wrong just to protect my own career. My kids need to see that their father stands up for what's right, even when it's difficult. The impact of these revelations will likely continue to unfold for months or even years to come. The bloodline storyline, once WWE's crown jewel, may never recover from the real-world damage that has been done to the family relationships at its core. But perhaps most importantly, Jacob Fatu's willingness to speak truth to power may help other wrestlers in similar situations find the courage to address toxic dynamics in their own professional relationships. His message is clear: no amount of career success is worth sacrificing your integrity or enabling abuse. As the wrestling world continues to process these shocking revelations, one thing is certain: the bloodline as we knew it is over. Whether something healthier and more authentic can rise from its ashes remains to be seen, but Jacob Fatu's brave decision to speak out has at least given his family a chance to heal and rebuild on a foundation of truth rather than manipulation. The leaked emotional message from Roman Reigns may represent his last chance to prove that genuine change is possible, but based on Jacob Fatu's account of past broken promises, it will take more than words to repair the damage that has been done. The wrestling world and the Anoa'i family deserves better than the toxic dynamics that destroyed the bloodline. Jacob Fatu's courage in speaking out may be the first step toward ensuring that future generations don't have to choose between family love and professional success. Only time will tell if Roman Reigns can truly change, or if the manipulation and control that defined his leadership will ultimately cost him everything that actually matters. But one thing is clear, Jacob Fatu is done being a pawn in someone else's game, and his refusal to stay silent may just save his family from further destruction.